It is the greatest rivalry in pop culture history. Coke versus Pepsi, Apple versus Microsoft. But nothing comes close to the war between Marvel and DC. Today, these two giants fight for billions at the box office. But the war didn't start in a cinema. It started in the gritty, ink-stained streets of 1930s New York City, with a major, a hustler, and a stolen idea that changed the world forever. Welcome to the origin story. We begin with Act 1, The Major and the Gods. It begins with this man, Major Malcolm Wheeler-Nicholson. In 1934, he founded National Allied Publications, which you know today as DC Comics. The Major was desperate for a hit. In 1938, he took a gamble on a character two kids from Cleveland sold him for just $130. The character was Superman. When Action Comics #1 hit the stands, it exploded. DC had invented the superhero. Their formula was simple. They wrote about gods, perfect, invincible beings who came down to save us. DC was the dignified leader, the king of the golden age. But they didn't notice the shark swimming right next to them. This is Act 2, The Hustler and the Copycats. Enter Martin Goodman. He ran a company that would eventually become Marvel. But in 1939, Goodman didn't care about art. He cared about money. When he saw Superman flying off the shelves, he wanted a piece of the action. He launched Timely Comics, and his first hit wasn't a noble hero like Superman. It was an android who set himself on fire, the Human Torch. This was the first crack in the armor. DC characters were heroes you looked up to. Timely characters were weird, flawed, and sometimes they were the bad guys. For 20 years, DC was still the undisputed king, until the 1960s and Act 3, the Stan Lee Revolution. By 1961, a writer named Stan Lee was ready to quit. His wife told him, "Write one comic the way you want to write it." He and artist Jack Kirby created the Fantastic Four, and they broke every single rule DC had written. DC heroes had secret bases. Marvel heroes had rent problems. DC heroes were perfect. Marvel heroes argued, cried, and failed. Stan Lee didn't write about gods. He wrote about humans who happened to have powers. The Marvel age began. Kids stopped wanting to be saved by Superman. They wanted to be Spider-Man. Marvel overtook DC in sales, and the rivalry turned into a total war that has never ended. So what's the final verdict on this legendary rivalry? Today, they own the box office, but the core difference remains. DC is about mythology, and Marvel is about humanity. But if you think this rivalry was heated, you need to hear the story of how Marvel almost went bankrupt and sold their characters to DC in the 90s. I'm covering that in part 2. Hit subscribe so you don't miss it.